Hey folks, hope you're having a great start to the week. Welcome to the latest edition of Notre Dame Daily, brought to you by Fan Arch. I'm Pete Mulroy, and playing their best ball this season. The Irish moved, as you know, 5 spots up in the AP poll shortly after Saturday's 28-7 win over Boise State in South Bend. Since dropping their first 2 contests of the season by a combined 4 points to 2 top 5 teams now in Miami, who's number 2 in the latest AP poll, Texas A&M, who comes in at number 5. The Irish have reeled off 3 straight wins in mostly dominant fashion. I think it's fair to say that. And while it's certainly great to be back inside the top 20 in America at number 16, the bigger news is that ND's recent stretch, coupled with some losses by teams ahead of them in the rankings, makes their outlook for the CFP a bit more positive, and it does change things, at least right now, for the better. Now, there's still a massive chunk of the season remaining. We're only the first week into October. But the Irish will be favored, and this is something I talked about a few weeks ago, in every remaining game on their schedule this regular season, including this weekend against North Carolina State. More on that in a minute. Take care of business by continuing to rack up victories, and Notre Dame is absolutely going to remain in the playoff race. No room for error, as we know, but they're in it, okay? They're simply too good, even with 2 losses to ignore. Ranked 16th in the country now, heading into their second of 3 straight home games. Marcus Freeman's crew knows exactly what lies ahead. Get the job done, and they could very well be eyeing another opportunity to make a postseason run, and that's what happens. You knew you had to stack that deck moving forward, stack the wins, chunk them together, get them however you can get them. And since falling to A&M by 1, Miami by 3, the Irish have just been dominant basically since the second half of that Purdue game on through the contest with Arkansas and Fayetteville 2 weeks ago, and then this past Saturday in Boise State. Was it their best collective performance this weekend? No, but they did enough specifically on the defensive side of the ball to earn another W. The ranking committees, the AP has seen this. They've moved up there. We get closer and closer to how the initial CFP rankings will come out in a couple of weeks. So from that perspective, so far so good for Notre Dame. Now, again, every week starts anew. Now it begins once again, continuing to win games this weekend with North Carolina State coming to South Bend. And you talk about how Notre Dame has been able to rack up these wins. The defense has been much better, the running game. And again, while collectively the team may have not had its finest performance against Boise State, and CJ Carr may have not been at the utmost top of his game Saturday, from an overall perspective, the talent, the passing performance, protection of the football, and leadership, Notre Dame's first-year starting quarterback continues to get better with each passing game. And thanks to another strong rushing performance behind him and steady defense from the Irish, as I said, Carr didn't need to be perfect Saturday against Boise State. He needed to move the ball downfield, put points on the board, and protect the football, which is exactly what he did. The Michigan native, 15 of 23, $189 through the air and 2 scores, ran the ball 3 times for another 25 yards. And he did a great job in commanding the game plan for the Irish once again. Through 5 games, Carr has shown why Freeman ultimately appointed him quarterback 1. His poise in the pocket and ability to lead an incredibly talented unit collectively. Tight ends, wide receivers, up front, and obviously in the backfield. Those are the things that really stand out to me, and I'm sure you all agree. Plus, protecting the football is the most essential thing. CJ Carr continues to do just that, and you really can't ask for much more. On the season now, 11 passing touchdowns against just 2 interceptions, and those interceptions 1 apiece against Miami and A&M respectively. So the last 3 games, it's been a clean slate. With nearly 1,300 yards racked up through the air, Carr has shown that ability to get the ball down the field with efficiency. He's also shown he can do it quickly and in bunches when needed. Just look at how he played against Arkansas. As he continues to grow, keeps getting support from Jeremiah Love, Darian Price, Eli Raritan, the guys on the outside, Malachi Fields and Jordan Faison, those relationships continuing to grow with each passing week. And he's also kept upright by an offensive line that is playing well. Carr's only going to get better, and it's been pretty damn good to this point. That's a scary concept for the opposition, specifically its defense. And just moving forward and transitioning, going into what we're going to see this weekend against North Carolina State, where the Irish are a big favorite. You talk about the consistency in the play up front. Speaking of that offensive line, right guard Emil Wagner, as we know, was removed from Saturday's game in the first quarter. He's good to go this weekend against NC State. The veteran O-lineman was listed as Notre Dame's starting right tackle on the first depth chart for the Wolfpack game. That's obviously huge news. So that protects CJ Carr even more, where he's got the anchor of the offensive line and the veteran of the group, one of the leaders of the group, will be ready to roll when Notre Dame welcomes in North Carolina State this weekend. And speaking of the Wolfpack, Notre Dame opens the game as a sizable favorite. Minus 21.5 last I checked. So you got these guys coming in from Raleigh. The Irish 2-2 all time against the Wolfpack. Notre Dame earned wins the last two times they met in 2017 and 2023. NC State picked up W's in the 2003 Gator Bowl, which seems like an eternity ago. I do remember the game 22 years ago. And again in 2016. Now, the Irish depth chart this weekend, great sign for Wagner that he'll be ready to roll. He's listed there. It's going to look slightly different than it did for Boise State, and that's largely due to some lingering injuries. Wideout Jaden Greathouse remains questionable after missing the Boise game. Kicker Noah Burnett, tight end Cooper Flanagan, who continues to recover from an Achilles injury, and defensive lineman Preston Zinter all carry the same designation as Greathouse. Corner Devontae Smith is out. So what does that mean? You'll see Dallas Golden line up as the starter at the nickel. On the offensive line, also Charles Jagasaw, left arm, Peter Jones, left ankle, are out for the contest as they continue to be on the mend and get healthy, specifically Jagasaw. So no Smith. Yes, it hurts the secondary, but we've started to see the growth and development. A lot of these guys on the back end, you can put a Mark Zachary in there, Carson Hobbs, Greek Thomas, Dallas Golden, who you'll see a lot of once again this weekend, especially with Smith being out. So that's the positive there, for as much as you don't want to lose a veteran with the presence and ability that Devontae Smith certainly has. And this weekend, when you talk about Notre Dame's offense, they're going to see an NC State defense that has really had issues forcing the opposing team to cough up the football. It's 3 weeks in a row where they haven't caused a turnover, and that's a tough stat for a Wolfpack defense that's preparing to take on one of the most explosive offenses in America, and one that's been pretty damn good at protecting the football, even beyond what CJ Carr has done. This season, you've got a Wolfpack team that we'll see this weekend, 4-2, wins over East Carolina, close game, number 19, well now number 19, ranked Virginia, close game, Wake Forest, and a blowout last week at Campbell, and they weren't great in lousy losses to Duke by 12 and to a lowly Virginia Tech team where they only put up 21 points. For the Irish in this one, running the ball with consistent productivity in order to open up that lethal passing game will be big here. Jumping on an NC State defense that has had issues forcing the other team to turn it over, as well as getting stops in crucial moments of the game, that's going to be massive for Notre Dame here. The Irish are the better team. Now, they just need to go out and show it. You talk about being favorites. They'll be favored in every remaining game. They are the better team from a talent perspective here. But that means, Jack, you know what, if you don't go out and take care of business. And for whatever we can talk about with this North Carolina State defense, on the other side of the ball, the Wolfpack's top weapon is running back Hollywood Smothers, who is currently second in America in rushing yards with 693 on an even 100 carries. He's also found the end zone 5 times. And along with quarterback CJ Bailey, this duo anchors and really paces the offense for Dave Doran's group. And in addition to his running ability, Smothers, you'll see this Saturday, they'll try to work him in the passing game. He's got 21 grabs this season for nearly $125 and a score. So he's got the ability to create in both areas of the game. That's a much-needed and paramount asset for the Pack here. Smothers has gone over 100 yards in 4 of 6 games this season. Bailey is mobile, but he'll do most of his damage with his arm. He's gone over 300 yards passing on 3 separate occasions this season. And Notre Dame's defense, folks, is going to know that it has to be stout against the run while, oh, by the way, not giving Bailey too much time to pick him apart in the pocket, which he'll have an acumen for. He's a good quarterback, and you've got to be responsible there and disciplined with your assignments this weekend. This is a defense for Notre Dame that has sacked the quarterback a combined 7 times across the past 2 weeks. Arkansas and Boise State, while being much more consistent, sound, and disciplined as it pertains to bringing pressure. If they're able to do it this weekend and take away Bailey's ability to break them down in the pocket while limiting Smothers, then wrapping up the day, the evening, with a 4-2 record and a 4-game win streak is going to be there. There's just things that Notre Dame, like they have You knew what you had against Boise State with a three-headed monster. They did a really good job against that Boise rushing attack. They didn't let Maddox Madsen go crazy in the passing department. Boise had the early lead, but after that, it was all Notre Dame, specifically on the defensive side of the ball, letting the offense do enough and do what it needed to do. Same thing in the blowout of Arkansas, the second half against Purdue, the offense feeding off the play of the defense. This is what we saw in 14 of Notre Dame's 16 games last season, the perfect complements to one another. And I think we're starting to see that now. If we get it again with NC State, it'll just lily pad them into the USC game October 18th, which is always a big one. So we're going to have plenty of time to break this one down leading into Saturday's game with the Wolfpack. For now, have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Irish.